Hello, everybody. Blake gave this wonderful talk on attention. Are there any questions? Is there anything to which you would like to direct our attention? Yes.
I don't understand how Kangyans help to let go or even.
Okay, so I have to say so people can hear. You don't understand how Kongans can help us let go?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
So it's like letting go of getting caught on the hook. Mm-hmm. Because what happens, this is I call this a no consequence practice. And Kongans is part of this no consequence practice. And what that means is nobody's keeping track of how you're doing. No one's writing it down in your permanent record. It's not going to affect your relationships. It's not going to affect your kids or your parents. It's not going to affect your job. You're not going to lose a job or get a job because of what happens in this room or what happens in the interview room. You know, it's no consequence. So that means that when we respond to something, when we react to something, we can see it more clearly because there's nothing riding on it. You know, I find I'm making a lot of phone calls to senators and representatives these days. I try to do it at least once a day and sometimes twice. And sometimes I find myself tongue-tied because this is consequential. I mean, not that these people are going to listen, but still, there's a kind of consequentialness to it. So I'll find myself tongue-tied and I can't really quite see what I'm doing that clearly. But in here, you know, if you are tongue-tied, then you see very clearly that you're tongue-tied. You know, whatever is happening, you have the room to see it clearly because there's no consequences. So what happens when you go into the interview room and you're asked these Kongans, and some people here may not know what Kongans are. So most people in this country use the Japanese word koan, and in Chinese is kungan, and in Korean is kongan. And these are these little tiny questions that when you have a Zen interview in someone from a school that's descended from the, I believe, 8th century master Lin Chi in China, Japanese call him Rinzai, you will be asked a question like, does a dog have Buddha nature? Seems like a weird question, but anyway, you'll be asked something like that, you know? And then you have to come up with a response. And the question has, like all questions have some kind of hook in it, something that is redirecting our attention from what's actually going on. The minute you start talking, you're redirecting attention from what's actually going on because you're just presenting your idea of what's going on, which is what I'm doing right now, but it's the best we can do because we have this tool, we try to use it well. So this tool called language. So you're asked this question and it's one hook after another hook after another hook. Basically, all the kind of karmic habits that we have, ways of responding to the world will come up. And so they come up and the teacher says no. And again, the teacher says no. And again, the teacher says no. We're really rude, you know. So over and over and over again, your standard karmic response is you're told no. You have to look in another direction. You know, sometimes I'll tell people you're looking this way, you have to look that way, right? So, of course, I don't tell them what that way is. So this happens over and over and over again, and then you become maybe not so apt to hang on to that hook. And then, and I can tell you in my own life, I've seen this happen to me, you know, when I'm in a situation where there's a lot of anger or fear or whatever on the part of other people, people are attacking other people, I'm able to step back a little from that, not get drawn into it. A long, long, long time ago, I've been practicing for like maybe 10 years or something like that, maybe 15 years. I was very active in math education stuff. You know, as a math professor, I was working with teachers, and I was on a lot of math panels, like national organizations, and I go to a lot of meetings and things like that. And I don't know why, but there's always a math war. People are always fighting about how we teach mathematics, and it like symbolizes all kinds of things. I mean, talk about hooks. You know, people get into these incredible emotional sort of things about how you teach mathematics. It's so strange, you know, and it's just a big hook for people. And people, you know, I'd go to these meetings and people would be like, I mean, these were professors, so they didn't fight each other, but, you know, almost, you know, they were almost coming to blows over this stuff. And people would be saying really nasty things about me, like they'd be giving a talk, and Judy Roitman says this, and this is, you know, terrible, you know, this kind of thing. And, and finally, somebody said to me, how come you don't get upset? The rest of us are really upset. How come you're not upset? I said, Zen practice, you know? So that's really what happens. It manifests in that you become a little detached from this attachment. And it's the experience of biting the hook, to use the metaphor, and then letting go of the hook. Biting the hook, letting go of the hook. Biting the hook, letting go of the hook. That experience is tremendously valuable. Tremendously. Especially, you know, times like now, you talk about polarization. I mean, it's really hard right now. And the ability to not get caught on the hook, but just to be able to observe it and to observe how it's being created is a tremendous strength. So thank you for your question. Yes?
While I was meditating today, a thought arose.
When you were meditating today, a thought arose.
Right, so I'm off to a bad start.
Off to a bad start.
Is the universe giving us a koan in every moment?
Is the universe giving us a koan in every moment? What would that mean? That's a very egocentric thing, you know? I'm not putting you down, because a lot of people, this is a very common thing people think, like some people think of it, instead of giving a question every moment, giving an answer every moment. You know, is the universe telling me what to do? The universe is vast and wide. So the universe, we're just part of the universe. What does it mean? The universe is telling me, the universe is asking me. So you are already part of the universe. Does my fingernail ask if my toe is telling it what to do? So you're already in the universe. You're not separate from it. So, no, the universe is not presenting you with a koan, but these very difficult situations are constantly appearing. Yeah, they're not aimed at you. Oh, let's get Austin really messed up here. You know, they're just there. They're really difficult. They're really hard. And that's just how the universe operates. Or maybe it's how our human brains perceive the universe operating. It's hard to know. But yeah. And it's interesting, you can make it into a koan, or you could call it just a situation. Human minds, you know, we have these labels that we give to things, but looking beyond the label, through the label, cutting through that, just what is this right now? That's really important. So don't worry about labels, whether it's an answer or a question, you know, or a gift. The universe is gifting me, you know, whatever. Yeah, sometimes things are nice, sometimes they're not nice. But yeah. Most important is that we are part of this universe. We are not separate. And also most important is this mind that constantly asks, what is this? What is this? What is this? So we cut through our tendencies to put things in little boxes that we can label, and then their reality is gone. So that's most important. So thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes.
Okay, going back to the hook thing.
Okay.
Okay, so, and I may be misunderstanding hook. I don't really know. but I'm going to try to ask it without giving a specific example. But you know, sometimes there may be something that's dangled out there and you think, oh, well, that's just a hook. And so you don't do anything. And then you find out later that it is a hook, but then it's too late.
The hook is in your mind. If you're labeling something as a hook, that's already a hook. Your mind made that. It's a way of separating yourself out. What happens is you see the situation for what it is. So if someone's yelling at you, when Blake was talking about how everyone's calling for all these, media things are calling for our attention constantly, and I imagine our universe is made of a whole bunch of toddlers. You can think of Facebook and, Instagram and Substack and TikTok and, you name it, there are a gazillion things out there. You can just think of them as a bunch of toddlers. Look at me, look at me, look at me, look at me, So if you get caught, then you have created that hook. That hook actually isn't there. You have created that hook. So if you are labeling something, oh, that's just a hook, then that means that you're not seeing it clearly. You're creating something called a hook between you and what's going on. So when these people, in these meetings were yelling at each other and yelling at me and doing all this kind of stuff, and I still don't understand how you teach long division, if you teach long division, it gets people so upset. But anyway, when they, get into this stuff, I wasn't sitting there saying, oh, well, I am enlightened and I can recognize that that's a hook. No, it doesn't go like that. It's just like, what? And just like letting it wash over me. If I started to label it something, then already I've lost. Then already I'm not present. I'm not completely there. My thinking has come between me and the situation. So when you're really clear, when you're really touching this universe, which you are already part of, so how can you touch it? But we have to use language. When you're really intimate with your life and the situation around you, and you don't have to use the light hook. You can't. Okay? So just see the situation for what it is. And you're going to say something else.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess I'm thinking of that as inaction. And my question is, you look at a situation and you say, this doesn't merit my action. It's just trying.
Just say that.
Okay, but then you wait later on and you find out, oops.
Yep, we all make mistakes. Anyone over 1 day old who hasn't made a mistake?
Yeah. But some of those mistakes, I mean, and maybe it's, I think that, like you said, if I call my congressman or congressperson, that would actually make a difference. And sometimes I don't, because I don't believe it does make a difference. So it's kind of why,
So that person knows that you're there. It's important that people know who's there, that the people who have power know who is there. That's extremely important. They might not change their mind, but they know that you are there, and they know that you are aware of them. That's the best. We have this idea that we want our actions, our personal, individual actions, to change something that's huge. But if we just have the idea of, I will just do what I can, and you give up the notion that you alone are going to fix things, who do I know that says, I alone can fix this? If we give up this idea that I alone, or I with this little group of people, can make these giant changes, and we simply, hello, I'm here. hello, this is what's going on. You know, that's the minimum action that anyone can do. No matter what side of politics you're on, that's the minimum action, and everyone should do it. Everyone should let their representative know that they're there, and everybody should call things by their right names. It's very simple. So no matter what your political beliefs, those are two things that you can do. And then sometimes there's more that you can do. You know, some people believe in a demonstration, some people believe they're a waste of time. There are all kinds of things people can do, and we all find our ways to do them. Okay? And we all make mistakes. All right? You know, my teacher used to say, open mouth, already mistake. So I've been making a lot of mistakes. I've been making about 20 minutes worth of mistakes. So yeah, thank you. Are there any other questions? Yes.
So how do you, if you're talking about long division, you would have an opinion about it.
So if you're talking about long division, you would have an opinion about it or how to teach it, yeah.
How did you express your opinion without attaching to your opinion? I mean, you must have expressed it.
So how do you express your opinion without attaching to your opinion? You're a musician, right?
Yeah.
And you have been at times in your life a very high-level musician. And you sang art songs as part of your training, because you're a trained singer. And you would sing, I don't know what you might have sung. Maybe give me a famous song by like Schumann or somebody that you sang. Ich liebe dich. Yeah, that's a wonderful, ich liebe dich, da 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 da. You know, I obviously can't sing it. But anyway, so this is a very famous song, and you sang it. And you sang it in a certain way. And there are many, many recordings of Ich liebe dich. God, I say that so badly. Ich liebe dich. It's hard to say. And so there are many, many recordings of this. And no two people sing it the same way. So that's all.
But it doesn't affect anybody.
But it doesn't affect anybody else.
If you're teaching
Yeah.
mathematics,
So if you're teaching
how
math,
do you teach it?
so if
Yes.
you're teaching mathematics, you cannot be really tightly attached to your way of thinking how to teach about it, because every student is different. You know that too, because you were a para in math classes, and a very good one. We have wonderful talks about what you did as a para. So you understand that if you have, this is how I will teach this thing, and then you have this kid who can't learn it, and you're gonna keep doing it over and over again, and they still can't learn it. So yeah, I may have my ideas about what I think is the best way, but I have to be sensitive to the needs of the people I'm teaching. It's very simple. So yeah. Yeah, I know this guy who has he's a real sweet guy, but for decades he's been writing these books, which I think he self-publishes, maybe some of them are published, telling you exactly how to teach this topic, exactly how to teach this topic, exactly how to teach this topic. And he's part of this math ed group that I've been on for decades, this email group, man, it goes back to the beginning of email. And, we have like educational psychologists in this group. And they'll have some kind of study about how people actually think about these things, like how you think about the real line, or how you think about the rational numbers and all the different models for that we have. And he's like, no, you must do it this way. And they're like citing studies, and it's like, hello, So yeah, we have to be flexible. We have to be open. Thank you for your question. That's a good place to end. So thank you.